You too. Yeah, that's the big dog hunt. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Kallas Remarks with your host, Joe Staszak, and of course, the man of the hour, Steve Kallas. Steven, how are you, my friend?
Oh, good. Great to be with you as always, Joe.
You too, bud. Week 15, NFL. Some interesting goings on. I guess we could start with the game last night. The Chargers and the Chiefs. I've never seen so many miscalculated attempts on 4th and goal or 4th down period, and then fumbling at the goal line, and the Chiefs coming back and scoring late and then winning it over. Crazy game, entertaining, but if you're a Chargers fan, like, how's that happen?
I'll tell you what the coach said right after the game, quote, "No decision we made tonight that I made tonight was a gamble." And so now I'm watching the game and I'm like, well, 4th and goal from the 5, your first possession, you didn't gamble, but you lost. 4th and 1 at the 2, you didn't gamble, but you lost. 4th and 2 or 3 from the 28, you didn't gamble, but you lost. That's 9 points. That's not 3 points. And he gave you the old, you can't, you got to score touchdowns again. Well, if you kick all 3, that's a touchdown plus a 2-point conversion, plus they still can't catch you. So, and every time Troy Aikman, well, the analytics say you should go for it here. Well, the analytics say you should go for it here. Well, yeah, but at some point, don't you say, maybe not tonight. And meanwhile, Andy Reid down 14-13. What was he, 4th and goal at the 2 or 3?
Yeah.
And Mahomes threw the worst pass of the year because he couldn't get his hands on the seams.
That throw, yeah, that was, yeah.
Remember the old days, Joe, when, you wanted to take the lead? Remember that?
The thing with analytics, it drives me nuts, is there's still a feel for the game. You know what I mean? Like, you can maybe use it as maybe if you're not sure, but you still have to there's a human element to coaching. And I think they throw things out the window now because of analytics. And last night was a textbook example of why analytics can be a problem sometimes.
Once upon a time, there were a lot of coaches in the NFL who just with their first possession, they just wanted to get points, or if they were getting shut out, it was very early, first possession. By the way, just quickly on the first possession, 75-yard kickoff return. You never see that. No. The next play, they run for 15 yards. Next play, they run for 4. So I think it was 1st and goal or 2nd and goal at the 6. They threw passes the whole time. What was that? You ran through these guys in the first quarter like they weren't there.
Yeah.
And by the way, they weren't there. Chris Jones didn't play.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just, you just got to wonder. And it's almost, he reminded me of Kevin Cash. Yeah, well, 3rd time through the order, I took Blake out. I do it again. Pete Carroll, I do it again. I throw the ball there. I do it again. And you got to look at these guys and say, I thought they spit away their season yesterday, the Chargers. And they're very good. They're very good. But how many of those are you going to miss? 1, 2, 3, 4? When do you wake up and say, maybe I should take the lead here at 3-0? Or maybe it's not my night when I missed the first 2 or 3. And I thought the worst was the 46-yard field goal. You kick that 46, you kick any of those field goals. Now it's the old, I don't know if they would have definitely won, but they would have had the lead. I actually thought they were going to go for 2 when they scored that touchdown with the extra point. They went up 7. And I thought they were going to go for 2. I'm sorry. They went up 8, right? They were up 8 when Kansas City tied them late. Then they have to make a 2-point conversion. Well, I thought they were going to try and make it 9, put the game out of reach.
I agree. It was mind-boggling, to be honest. Just mind-boggling. A lot of COVID going around now too. Like the Browns, both their Baker Mayfield, Case Keenum are out. The Washington football team has a ton of guys out. It's getting a little out of control.
Again, yeah. But one more thing on the Chargers.
Oh yeah,
game.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So Derwin James was guarding Kelsey in the first quarter. He had 1 reception for 14 yards. Derwin James got hurt and came out. And then after that, after he came out, Kelsey had 9 receptions for 177 yards and 2 TDs. That was the biggest play of the game, which they didn't make a big deal out of that during the game. This is all after the fact analysis, when they see the before, when he was on the field, and after when he wasn't. But the notion that this is what we do, it's not gambling, it's analytics. But I'll say it again, 1, 2, 3, that's 3 field goals. So you can tell me you guys score touchdowns instead of field goals against the Chiefs. And essentially that's true, although their offense hasn't been great. They're pretty good now. Having said that, when does it go? Not 3 points, maybe not 6 points. How about 9 points?
Right.
And I don't think there's any doubt if they kicked all those field goals, they would have won the game. They would have won the game. COVID outbreaks, just quickly, the Browns have 21 guys on the list, including 10 starters. The Rams have 25 on the list, including 6 starters. Washington has 21 on the list, including 11 starters. Bears have 6 players and 3 coordinators who are on the list. Now, it's the old, they can come back. And I saw something this morning, they didn't say exactly what it was, but they were going to relax the good old NFL. We're going to relax the COVID protocols if you're fully vaccinated. How about that? They're just, this is going to be an embarrassing weekend, I think. And you won't know. We're going to pick games today, Friday morning, but you want to pick games at 12:55 on Sunday because you don't know who's going to be on the list. The only other thing I'll say injury-wise, Lamar Jackson didn't practice Wednesday, didn't practice Thursday, but there's a chance he'll play on Sunday. And that's a pretty big game for the Ravens.
Yes, it is. And it's unfortunate that, he got hurt and they still ended up covering. They were getting killed in that game, by the way. They came back to cover, if you're into that kind of thing. But Patriots at the Colts this week. I mean, we can get into our picks. This is one of my picks. But Colts are 2.5-point favorite. Your thoughts?
Well, I guess they're home, but I don't know how you can pick against the Patriots. I mean, what they've done this year is one of the greatest coaching jobs ever, no matter what happens forward looking. But, they beat the Bills in the win game. They've got the Bills again, but they're 9-4. They control their own destiny. To me, this is all a tribute to Bill Belichick, just doing the same thing with different guys. Their defense is real good. They've got a good running game again. Everything old is new again. It's the old running game and defense. And Mac Jones has been more than a game manager. He doesn't turn the ball over. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to win. I assume they're going to try and take the run away, Jonathan Taylor. And then Carson Wentz is going to have to win it. And he's playing, I'd say, you tell me, above average to very well this year, but hasn't been enough for them. And I obviously really like the Patriots.
Yeah, that's why I like the Colts. I think the line is off. I'm going to go with that for once, because that hasn't. It's been like 50-50 this year. It's been.
You might be right. I will say this. I saw on ESPN. I don't know how they do the FPI power index.
Yeah.
So even though the Colts are 2.5-point favorites, the FPI says the Patriots have a 54% chance to win. And I don't know if I've ever seen that. I don't look at it religiously, but a team that's a 2.5-point underdog has a better than 50% chance to win. But again, I don't know what those things. It's like when Troy Aikman kept saying the analytics say go, the analytics say go. I wish he'd sit there and explain, why do the analytics say go? Because if you miss the first time and you miss the second time, is there more likelihood you're going to make it the third time, which again was from the 28-yard line? I don't know, Joe. I know there's room for analytics, and I think it's more applicable to me in baseball, especially with what the shift has become now. But my goodness, at some point, it's what you said. You got to get the feel for the game. A lot of coaches in the old days would have kicked that field goal, nothing. 4th and goal from the 5, not 4th and goal from the 1.
Right.
Goal from the 5. And maybe they'll say, oh, that's when the backup wide receiver caught it in the end zone, and he caught it, but he hit his head and he dropped it.
Right.
And, he's at the hospital in stable condition, whatever that means. But, I assume he's getting killed for that. And I assume he's going to pull the Kevin Cash, that's not gambling. And if you get him in a bar drunk, he'll say, yeah, that's analytics. I go by the sheet. Whatever they tell me to do, I do. It almost takes the coaching out of coaching.
Exactly. So it's on autopilot. It's just, yeah, I'm not huge on it. The Cowboys last week, Washington was on a 4-game winning streak, playing lights out. Dallas had lost 2 in a row and barely kind of beat the Saints in a mind-numbing game. They're 4.5 favorite. This was the Vegas line screwed up, and I took Washington. I got sucked in. That's a big rivalry of the NFCs. They were getting 4.5 at home. Came back to make it the game, but it wasn't much of a game. What happened in Washington last week? Or is this just, again, the any given Sunday thing? Because it was ridiculous. They were getting killed early on.
It's the Joe Staszak girl. I didn't give it Sunday. But Heineke also got knocked out of the game. He only had 122 yards passing. But they did make a kind of a comeback. But I think you're right. I think I still have no idea how Washington loses Chase Young, one of the best defenders in the league, and then their defense played lights out. When we were all looking for him at the beginning to play the defense to play lights out, and they were terrible. So
terrible.
It's hard to understand. The Dallas did get healthy. They got a bunch of guys back now. And, they're a factor. I don't think they're a big factor. I'm sorry. I'm watching the Chiefs and the Chargers. I understand the Chiefs are hot and the offense is coming back, but I'm watching them, and I'll say it again. They were lucky they were playing the Giants when they won that game 20-17. They were incredibly lucky. The one game that Aaron Rodgers sat out. And frankly, I thought they were incredibly lucky yesterday because of the coach.
Right.
Yeah, we're not gambling. We're going for it, but we're not gambling. And you just look at it, and I'll say it again. How many times? Maybe once, maybe twice. You're going to go 3 times from the 28-yard line. Why not kick a field goal? Why not kick one? And I'm not saying he's wrong, generally speaking, about you got to score touchdowns, not kick field goals to beat the Chiefs. But I'm 100% saying, yeah, but you had 3 of them now. 3 adds up to 9. That's more than a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's more than a touchdown. What'd they get out of those 3? They got 0 points.
And then you start chasing, you don't get either one early, and then you have another opportunity, and you need a touchdown. You think you need a touchdown. They add up. One bad decision begats another, in a way. Which, again, like you're right. I mean, it's like they take the coaching out of coaching. It's incredible. A game that happened Monday night that was interesting because they've been playing terrible lately are the Rams, and they look great against the Cardinals. Again, who knows who's going to show up? Matt Stafford had a good game. Cooper Kupp was ridiculous. Kyler Murray almost threw for 400 yards, but threw 2 picks. It wasn't as close as the final score indicated, but Rams look pretty sharp.
Another team up and down. They manhandled Tampa Bay, right? 28-9 or something. I mean, that makes you shake your head about Tampa Bay, although they're back now, obviously. But I just find it, Von Miller's on the COVID list too, by the way. And I don't think they've become the dominant defense you thought they would. And the other big blow to Arizona, you probably heard, is DeAndre Hopkins is out for the rest of the regular season.
Yeah, that's how it hurts.
And they're still trying to fight for the number 1. Although on tiebreakers, they're now 3rd. The Packers are ahead of the Bucks, or ahead of the Cardinals. They're all 10-3. But to not have Hopkins, if you lose another, that's a problem. So no, I'm a little surprised that the Rams won, but it's such an up and down league, more so than in the past, Joe. I'm sorry. This has been the toughest year, I think, to pick games. And the upsets that you saw, Jaguars 9, Titans 6. I mean, that one just comes to my head. Don't the Jets have something of like 2 wins against like the Bengals and the Titans or something? Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. So whatever. And we should mention briefly Urban Meyer. I mean, the owner gave him a vote of confidence a few weeks ago, and maybe we should have known all he had to do was one more stupid thing. And the kicker says that the coach kicked him. He's going to make that up. And of course, Urban Meyer denies it because he has to deny it. But that was the final straw that broke the camel's back. And he's out. But, we talked about it in the exhibition season. He looked like he didn't want to be there. And even Trevor Lawrence said something about the negativity a few days ago. And I don't know if that was a sign to the owner, or if the owner would reach out to his superstar quarterback, or maybe superstar in the making. I don't know. But, they walked away from him. And now I guess they'll fight over the money. I thought all these coaches' contracts were guaranteed.
I thought so too.
Maybe you can fire him for cause if you can show that he kicked a player, or he had that embarrassing thing when he put his hand on a woman's butt. He stayed around after the game.
Yeah.
And he was totally overmatched in the pros. Not the first guy. In fact, they mentioned the first guy not to make it through the season since Bobby Petrino. Where Bobby Petrino got his head kicked in the NFL, and then after a Monday night game, the next day announced, "Yeah, I'm going to coach Arkansas." So again, I don't know how much money Bobby Petrino got. Maybe that's a good guy. I think he left of his own volition. And I don't think Urban Meyer did, but maybe he
No.
was hoping, they'd fire him, but fire him and pay me my money. We'll have to see. That's going to be a court battle, but it is what it is. They're not going anywhere.
Does he resurface in college?
If he wants to.
I would think, to me, to be honest, besides all the idiocy surrounding him, aside from Nick Saban, he's a top 5 coach of all time. I mean, he won a couple of championships at Florida, went undefeated at Utah, won another one at Ohio State. I mean, everywhere he goes, he wins.
Yeah, if he wants to, he will. This is pretty embarrassing, though. I don't know if it's the old, you want to get right back up on the horse in college,
right?
Where in a year or two, you'll have, 2 of the best recruiting classes in the country. Or are you so wounded? I mean, he looked at these press conferences. It's like, I want to go home. I want to leave. I want to, and if he did say, he claims he didn't. If he did say, we're going to find the leakers and fire the leakers because guys were giving out information, or he said he didn't call all these people that he called losers. I don't know if he did or didn't, but it's hard to screw it up in less than a year, or more than he screwed it up in less than a year.
I totally agree. Just crazy. If the season ended today, the Eagles are in the postseason at 6 wins. I predicted 6 wins total this year, 6 and 10, 6 and 11. They should do better than that. Now they're playing a Washington team with, half the team and 9.5 point favorites. I mean, your thoughts on their chances going forward from here, and if you were the guy, I'm not asking you what you think they should do. If you were the guy, does Hurts start this week if he's healthy, or do you stay with Minshew, who had a good game last week?
I'd stay with Minshew. Minshew, I think, he's an average to better than average quarterback. And if I'm the coach, I want to win. Now, if they tell you from above you're safe, but we want you to play Hurts, then Hurts will start. But if I had my choice and I was the coach and I want to win and I want to make the playoffs and I'm playing a totally undermanned team now in my division, I want to win. So I would start Minshew.
Interesting, because I didn't think it would come to this, but now, because earlier they were terrible, unwatchable, and you'd think that, well, let's stay with Hurts because we want to see how this is like every week's an exam. But now, when you get the waft of the playoffs, everybody wants to make the playoffs, and of course Howie does too. I don't know if his job's on the line, but do you think a decision will not come down, but be influenced by the guys above Nick Sirianni? Because there's the playoff thing to worry about, and every coach likes to win. He doesn't really care about the other things. And then there's the experiment of Jalen Hurts. Do we know he's the guy? I mean, I still think there's a kind of this is a project, an experiment around Jalen Hurts. So which way do you go? And do you think Nick Sirianni is somewhat of a puppet of the higher ups?
I think we're going to find out. Because if I'm Nick Sirianni, there's no way I want to continue the experiment at the expense of not making the playoffs. And Minshew, again, is seasoned. I thought he played very well in the past in certain instances, and he played, most importantly, very well last week. So I'd still go with him. If Hurts starts, somebody's going to ask Sirianni, is he going to say, yeah, well, we got to see if he's the guy, as opposed to we got to make the playoffs. A playoff, I wouldn't even be against, having him make the playoffs and then starting Hurts at a playoff game.
Yeah.
To give him the experience. Right? That's the experience he could use.
Yes.
We'll see what happens.
All right. Time for the dreaded pick segment. What do you got this week, brother?
I did pretty well again last week, 3-1 again. My only loss was Arizona. I was on the fence on them. I'm happy the Rams won because it puts the Bucs ahead of the Cardinals, and they may not relinquish that, but the Packers are ahead of both of them, so we'll see. So this week I'm taking the 2.5. I know you're not. I'm taking the Patriots Saturday night with 2.5. I just think they're the best team in football right now. I'm taking Tennessee -2 at Pittsburgh. I'm just not sold on the Steelers. They somehow grind it out. But I think Tennessee's defense is pretty good and they'll get enough offense to get it. I like the Rams in Los Angeles off that incredible win, 6.5 against Seattle. I just don't think Seattle's that good. I know they have the magician who we love, but I'll take the Rams minus 6.5. And I'll take Green Bay minus 4.5 at Baltimore. It's an open question whether Jackson's going to play or not. But even if he does, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I don't know who the MVP is. I think it's Brady, but if it's not, it might be Aaron Rodgers.
I agree.
In fact, some people will say maybe it's Rodgers, and if not, it might be Brady. But those are my four. I'm picking four every week as long as I can go 3-1. How about you?
Good for you, brother. Last week I was 2-1 actually. I had the Ravens, ridiculous cover, no business covering with Lamar out. They were down like 24. Lost with the Washington pick, which I should know better because that line smelled high heaven. And I took the Rams because I also thought the line was a little goofy, and that one worked. The other one didn't. So 2-1. This week, now it's a COVID week, so it's a little, different. And this, kind of influenced my picks a little bit. In fact, in that I'm taking Washington getting almost 10 points against the Eagles. It's a lot of points. I don't know if they're that bad. And oftentimes when a player goes down or a couple players go down, you think it's going to be horrific. They end up covering and you wonder how that happened. And Mike White, an example, Cooper Rush, guys like that. So I'll take the Skins. Also taking the Giants. I'll take a 10.5 point favorite at home. They're not good. I get all that. I'm not sure which Dallas team will show up. And the other game I liked was which game did I like? The other game that I like. Hold on one sec. Let me look up and down. Like I said, I don't like that line, so I'm taking the Colts minus 2.5. I think that's just a screwy line. The Patriots right now are the best team in the league. I know it's in Indy. They've been a little up and down, more up than down, but again, who knows? Flip a coin, but I'm going with the Vegas, the line smells theory. Before we leave, bro, Steph Curry passed Ray Allen this week, and rightfully so. He's just phenomenal. He's on a phenomenal team again, and my man Klay Thompson's not even back yet. So, your thoughts on Steph Curry and what he's done?
Probably the greatest shooter ever. I always stick in the word for Jerry West. If Jerry West had ever played with a 3-point line,
yeah.
Because it's so long ago in an era where they didn't have a 3-point line, but he's one of the greatest shooters ever, whether these guys know it or not. But yeah, Ray Allen had 2,973. Curry was one behind him at Madison Square Garden. It's kind of sad to me that at Madison Square Garden, it always seems to be the other side, the other guys who are getting all the records. The Garden crowd was classy and cheered him as they should, but it's just kind of sad. He had 5, so he finished after that game with 2,977. It also took him 500 less games, which I think is more a commentary on where the 3-point line and the analytics of basketball are, right? Don't take those mid-range jumpers. Kawhi Leonard, don't take those mid-range jumpers. KD, of course, they're two of the greatest ever with mid-range jumpers, so you probably should. But yeah, Steph Curry first, Ray Allen second, Reggie Miller was there. But I'll say it again, he did it in 500 less games. And I'll say that again as well. I think what teams are averaging like 35 threes a game now. I mean, the numbers are absurd. Larry Bird used to take like 5 and people would, their jaws would drop. And it's Larry Bird. So it's just a totally different analytics game. And again, not saying it's wrong. If anything, the guys who get, you got 30 graders shooting threes now. So they're coming up through the system.
Yeah.
That's a part of the game. And when they brought it in like 80, through the 80s, people in college didn't take threes, and now it's just kept going and going and going. Throwing the analytics, that's you want either a layup or a 3. That's how it is. That's the game. But hey, congratulations to him. He probably is the greatest shooter ever. I would hold out a little bit for Jerry West. I'm an Oscar guy, but I don't recall Oscar really from long range. Although if they had a 3, I think he'd be a great one. But West would be a tremendous 3-point shooter if he played today.
Never seen anything like Steph Curry. Great stuff as usual, man. You can catch this podcast weekly on YouTube. You can get Steve's stuff daily on his Facebook forum page. Speaking of sports with Steve Kallas, his videos on WestchesterCountyPost.com, also on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter, Joe Staszak 975. And I hope you have a great week. Last shopping week before Christmas, my man. Have a great one, Stephen. And we'll talk to you soon.
Always a pleasure, Joe.
You too. Thanks, folks. Thanks for watching. Have a great, safe, healthy weekend. We'll talk to you next week.